Good evening. My name is Megan Carmel, and this is Kevin Buettner. We're with the Ohio Mideastern Governments Association. Thank you for participating in our Regional Development Plan virtual public meeting. We're going to discuss the merging of our SEDS and Regional Transportation Plan. So a little bit of an overview about what we're going to be going through. We'll just do a quick overview of who we are as an organization, go over the Regional Development Plan itself, then look at some needs as well as our recommendations for those needs. And then at the end, we'll have some time for a Q&A, comments, questions, concerns, things like that. So Omega is a local development district as well as a council of governments, and we have 10 county governments in membership. 8 of those are part of the Regional Transportation Planning Organization. And those counties are Carroll, Columbiana, Coshocton, Guernsey, Harrison, Holmes, Muskingum, and Tuscarawas. Belmont and Jefferson are covered under Community Development and Economic Development Services. We also have 12 city governments: Cambridge, Coshocton, Dover, East Liverpool, New Philadelphia, Salem, Uhrichsville, and Zanesville are covered under the RTPO, and the 4 others, Martins Ferry, St. Clairsville, Steubenville, and Toronto, are covered under our Community and Economic Development Services. So some of the services we provide as part of our mission to provide a pathway to enhance community and economic growth in our region. So we provide planning assistance to local governments as well as funding and administrative services. So we help communities go after grant funding. And the 2 we're going to be focusing on today are the development of the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy and our work as a regional transportation planning organization and how we're merging those 2. So some of our services as an RTPO, we have short-range planning activities, including the development of active transportation plans and school travel plans. And then we also have some regional transportation planning activities that cover all 8 counties together. So the big one we're focusing on today is the Regional Transportation Plan, which looks out over the next 25 years. We also have a short-range plan, the Regional Transportation Improvement Plan, which looks out from fiscal years 2021 to 2024, as well as some transit planning and technical services.
So as part of the planning process, we wanted to see, is our region going to grow? Is it going to shrink? Some combination thereof. And when we looked at the population projections, we found about half of our counties are going to grow. Another half are going to shrink, and another kind of right in the middle, neither growing nor shrinking too much. Even though the percentages are a little bit high, when you look at the actual numbers, we're only forecast to lose about 10,000 people in the region versus, even though it looks like 13% would be a larger number, it's actually quite small for Carroll County. And we wanted to look at who is living in our region currently. And right now we do have a very sizable senior citizen population, people 65 years and older, at 111,000. And the next largest is our youth, from 0 to 14. And what we're seeing is right in the middle with that brain drain, a lot of people, once they grow up, graduate high school, go to college, or pursue other education, they don't come back. And we want to see if there's a way that we can do everything in our power to try to enhance our communities so that people want to come back, so there are jobs here that they can work and have a good life. One of our first maps that we made was on median household income to determine where is wealth concentrated in the area. And we found that it's actually fairly spread out. Holmes County, Western Tuscarawas County have quite a few census tracts that have higher median household incomes. The lower ones closer to the urban cores are generally just a factor of having more people living in a small area, so the income divided by the number of people tends to skew it a little bit lower. So then we wanted to look at poverty levels, and the darker colors show where poverty is a little more concentrated per census tract. Again, it's not uncommon to see it closer to the more developed and urbanized areas outside Coshocton, near New Philadelphia, and near Carrollton and Salem. We also looked at what kind of jobs are currently available now here in the region. And it's no surprise that some of the largest ones, transportation and logistics, we do have a lot of warehousing, especially in Muskegon County and some in Guernsey and Tuscarawas County. Food processing, manufacturing, wood products. We also have a lot of plastics in the region, and that will actually potentially be fed by these ethane cracker plants, one's being constructed right now in Pennsylvania and another's projected to be constructed in southeastern Belmont County. So we expect to see these go higher in the coming years as the source products become cheaper and cheaper. We also looked at some of the future developments in the region. Some have been proposed by groups of counties, by cities, by private developers. And some of the future ones, the National Road Business Park, a new business park near Zanesville on the east side off of 70 near their airport, is coming in. A future mixed-use development west of 77 in New Philadelphia is projected in the near future, in the next 5 to 10 years. Kent State University's Tuscarawas campus is planning on putting in dorms at the campus so that they'll have year-round students living there, which would put will have quite an impact with the transportation system out there, as well as some community facilities. Carroll County has an economic development project with some road improvements up in northeastern Carroll County, which looks like this little number 1 in the corner of the county. US 30, which we'll touch on a little bit later, is proposed improvements on making the last section of US 30 in Ohio a 4-lane highway, with a connector down to Carrollton, which is the light purple. And then Columbus to Pittsburgh is a corridor that we've put together of existing state and US routes that would roughly parallel Interstate 70 and provide a much more direct link to Pittsburgh from Columbus, which are two of the largest metropolitan areas that are not directly connected by highways. And then we also have the proposed processing plant in Harrison County, in northwestern Harrison County, the proposed ethane cracker, like I mentioned, down in southeastern Belmont County, and all of these are going to have a pretty substantial impact onto the transportation system.
So this is taking a look at our proposed goals over the next 25 years for our plan. And these are goals we developed with our transportation planning partners to meet the needs of our region. So we want to preserve regional assets to support our local economies. We'd like to increase the safety of regional infrastructure, facilitate economic and community development, and develop and maintain resiliency throughout the region. So what we're looking to do is preserve and maintain the great things we already have in our region, as well as continue to make them better moving forward.
Which is one reason we asked you to join us tonight. We want to see, are these in line with what you expect for the region, and how do you think that we can implement some of these goals? Are there strategies, or are there any thoughts that you might have to help us move forward as a region to make our infrastructure better? As part of the process, we did have a public survey that we put out last summer and through the autumn, and from the feedback, we had a few hundred respondents. The maintenance of roads and bridges and improving roadway safety came out as our top 2 most extremely important priorities. We also had some about relieving traffic congestion and improving public transportation and active transportation. All were up there as some of the rated most highly important. And even some other ones, such as improving rail service and improving facilities for the Amish users. They were all mentioned at some point during the survey, so we thought it was very important that everyone's looking out for all users of the transportation system.
So looking at some of our current and future conditions for our roadways. So the first one we're looking at is level of service, which is essentially how well traffic can flow along a roadway. And if you look at our legend here, A in green is A is the free-flowing traffic, and B is heavily delayed traffic, which is where the amount of traffic exceeds the capacity of the roadway. So we definitely want to look at things that are, between D and F on the map here. So we're looking at areas in northern Columbiana County, on US 62, the northern part of I-77 in Tuscarawas County, the area between Millersburg and Dover, south of Coshocton, and then a couple spots on I-70 between Zanesville and Cambridge, and a small portion south of Cambridge as well. There we go. And then looking out towards the future, so these are models that are projected out to 2045, which is our forecast year that we're looking at for our plan. So we definitely have a focus on that I-70 corridor from Zanesville to Cambridge. So we're looking at F and even a new rating of F plus in some areas on that corridor. So I-70 is expected to exceed capacity by 2045, which is something we really want to look at and is really important. Some areas, a big portion of Tuscarawas County, we still want to look at into the future, portions of 250 in Harrison County and 22, and then we still want to keep an eye on that portion of US 62 in Columbiana County. So any of those areas highlighted in red.
And another way to measure that is the volume to capacity ratio, which in very simplistic terms is how many cars is how many cars is the road designed to handle versus how many cars are actually on it. As you see currently, like Megan mentioned, the US 62 in Columbiana County in the northeast is already approaching capacity, whereas some of the roads south of Cambridge in Quincy County are already over capacity, and another one, Maple Avenue or State Route 60 in Muskingum County, are also all reaching or approaching capacity currently. So in the future, we're looking for those to be our hotspots, with the addition of the traffic around New Philly and Dover being added to the mix. But again, we want to look basically the entire corridor of I-70 between Zanesville and Cambridge, and then points just south. We also want to look at truck traffic. That kind of snuck up on us the last time we did our long-range plan with the oil and gas boom. So we looked at truck growth rates, and any road that's highlighted in red is forecast to have an increase of 3% or more. And as you see, it's all over the region. Harrison County still has quite a bit, southern Carroll County over there in the oil fields and the processing plants, but also places like Holmes County, Coshocton County, even out in the more rural areas of Guernsey County, as you expect populations to move out there and other small businesses and small manufacturers to be located in some of these areas. We also looked at deficient bridges. It's also a good indicator of where we should be prioritizing some of our maintenance activities. This number has overall gone down in the past few years, and especially over the past decade, but there are still some bridges with a rating of 4 or less out of 9, where we just want to keep an eye on things. Some of them are on very small roads, and so the priority is a little bit less. That doesn't mean they're not important, but we need to make sure that all the bridges that we can get funded and get maintained as soon as possible. Safety is also key, and every spring we map out the crashes for the previous 3 years just to see if there's any hotspots, any trends, any places we kind of want to focus our efforts to potentially find some countermeasures to get rid of some of these crashes. The most severe, obviously, are fatal crashes. As you see, they are spread throughout the region. A lot of them are on the highways, in a couple high speeds and an accident, and chances are there might be a potential fatality, which we do want to get rid of. So we're working with our statewide partners on those, and we're working with our county engineers and our township officials to tackle some of the problems that are not on the state maintained system, and have been successful with getting some safety studies and some safety funding brought into the region to mitigate some of these. The next most severe are serious injury or incapacitating injuries. These are the ones that will certainly send you to the hospital and may be life-altering. A little bit more widespread. Again, a lot of this in a rural area, the high speeds on the highways. When you do get into a wreck, it is likely to be very severe, even with seatbelts and airbags. So we want to make sure that we can make the roads as safe as possible and help people know what's coming ahead so they can prepare. We also wanted to look at our non-motorized crashes. bicycle, pedestrian, and buggy crashes. Inside the urbanized areas of Cambridge, Zanesville, New Philadelphia, and Dover, and Salem and others, is where you're most likely to see your bicycle and pedestrian. But you might notice in eastern Holmes County there are a large number of these purple stars, and those are typically, they could be bicycle or pedestrian, but they also be added in buggy crashes with the high Amish population out there, because we want to make sure that the road's safe for all users, not just the motorists. US 30 is one of our larger regional planning objectives over the next 20 to 25 years. This is not a final alignment by any means. It's just there for representation. But the last section of US 30 in Ohio that is not 4-lane is between the village of East Canton and the middle of Columbiana County near Lisbon. So the proposal is to turn that into a 4-lane. Some funding has been received for the western part near East Canton to extend the current freeway from Trump Avenue to State Route 44, and then additional planning studies will be conducted to find a proposed alignment from State Route 44 all the way to an area southeast of Lisbon where it'll merge into the existing 4-lane highway. And as part of that, they are looking at improving the roadway, possibly with 4 lanes down to Carrollton. Currently, Carroll County does not have any 4-lane highways, which does not make them competitive with economic development leads. Columbus to Pittsburgh, same kind of situation. Parts of this corridor are 4 lanes, other parts are not. All the parts in red are still 2-lane. And this is not necessarily the final alignment, it's just the current alignment by the state and US routes that we've been looking at. Due to some challenges on 250, we may have to consider alignments around Tappan Lake to the south, other alignments in Tuscarawas County, but those are far in the future, but we definitely want to keep them on our radar and make sure that we improve this corridor as time goes on. We looked at a summary of needs. We've reached out to our cities, to our counties, our townships, our economic development folks at the port authorities, and so far, what's submitted to us, we have about $243 million in projects. Almost half of that is in transportation at $117 million. Water and water facilities, about $23 million. Wastewater, sewer treatment plants, things like that, about $75 million. And other infrastructure and initiatives such as broadband and other workforce development initiatives total about 28. This list is not exhaustive. It will likely grow in the future, but we did want to start to show what we have submitted as of today. And we came up with the 3 I's. The biggest things we want to do as a region is to invest in the region, and that includes broadband, all types of infrastructure, transportation, water, wastewater, and the workforce. We want to make sure that the workforce is skilled for the jobs of today, and we want to keep our kids here after they graduate high school or college. And we actually want to bring additional people in. And we want to include everyone, all people of all ages, from 0 all the way to 100 plus, and then some. But we want to make sure that people with disabilities are taken care of, people with low to moderate income. We want to make sure that everything is accessible for all people. And we want to improve resiliency. We want to be able to weather the downturns when economic downturns happen. We also want to be prepared if rain events are going to be more severe, if we have snow or ice events. We want to make sure that these kind of large events don't unduly impact our region when they do happen.
Okay, so this is taking a look at the Long Range Transportation Plan and SED's webpage. So if you click on the link below, which Kevin will take us to now, this will show you what you can find if you're looking for anything that you've seen today, any parts of the plan. The public meeting slides are listed right under the description. And then if you scroll down, we have the full draft plan on the left, as well as broken down by each individual section if you're looking for something in particular, like just looking for the needs or just looking at the future conditions in section 4 so that you don't have to scroll through the whole plan to find it. And then on the right-hand side, we have all the appendices. So anything like additional maps, we have broadband maps in Appendix B. Any additional policies like the broadband policy plans, we have spreadsheets for each of the proposed projects that we have, as well as the public involvement comments that we will be receiving. So you can find all of that on our website. And then if we scroll down further, you can enter your comments right here. So these will come directly to us by email, and we can incorporate your comments into the plan as we receive them. So everything on the website as part of the plan will be updated as we receive your comments.
And if you do want a response from us, please leave your name and an email and we will respond. But those are not mandatory. If you just want to submit comments or questions anonymously, you can do that as well.
And we'll also have our contact information at the end if you're more comfortable submitting directly to us that way. But either way, it'll come directly to both of us and we can incorporate your comments.
Again, so here in a couple of minutes, we wanted to bring this slide back just to see if there's any thoughts, any questions, any comments that you might have on our goals, how we might achieve some of those goals, anything that you've been thinking about. Why doesn't ODOT do this? Why doesn't the region do this? Why doesn't my county do this? Now is your time to put in those comments, and we can talk to our planning partners and make sure that they take it into consideration when we go for some of these projects.
And so this is a look at our currently unfunded projects throughout the 8-county RTPO region. So we have any new facilities highlighted in yellow, intersection and bridge projects highlighted in orange, and then your roadway projects highlighted in red. And then I also wanted to point out that the green areas on the map represent environmental justice focus areas. So these are low income or high minority population areas. And we wanted to highlight these so that as we look to tackle some of these projects in the future, we want to make sure we aren't adversely impacting anyone in these potentially more vulnerable areas. So as we look to get funding for these projects, we may want to look at these areas with greater scrutiny. And this map will be made available online as an interactive map. So you can zoom in and out, click on any of these individual projects, and learn more details about them, such as estimated total cost or more details on the type of project that we're looking at. So be sure to check back to the website, not only for plan updates, but we'll also have updated interactive maps that you can click around and learn more about. And so with that, if there are any questions you have right now, either on the phone or in the chat on Facebook, we can start reading those off. We have our communications manager with us. And then if you aren't comfortable saying them right now, or you had a more in-depth question, you can either enter it into the comment form on our website, send us an email, or you can even mail it to us if you prefer. So lots of options.
So we do have one question. Were the goals you listed earlier in the presentation listed in any particular order, or are they all of equal priority?
They're all of equal priority. We just looked at those 4. I'll go back here. The newest one for us is the building and maintaining regional resiliency. So that came a little bit later. Facilitate economic community development, that is the bread and butter of what Omega does and what we've been doing for the past 51 years. We actually recycled that from our last plan. That's the exact same goal. And then safety and preservation, those are similar to what we had in our last plan. Again, they just happen to be the first 3 that we wrote down. And they also align with what the state is doing, especially ODOT and the transportation planning side. So we felt it was important to keep them. But no, there's no right or wrong, no 1 or 2, 3 or 4.
All right, are there any other questions?
Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to watch a video. Even after the video is not live, if you want, please leave a comment below, or if it's when this posts on YouTube, comment, like, subscribe. Sorry, I had to. And we'll address your comments as they come in. Thanks.
Thank you.